Hey, I'm Chey, and today we're going to be pushing the limits of my 5-second attention span once again. Ready? Rollin'. This past month has been crazy, these past 2 months actually, and I honestly haven't gotten much of a chance to read, not as much as I would have liked. This video is to help fix that. I've never done a challenge like this before. I've done something similar where I swapped my screen time for reading, and I thought about doing that again, but honestly, I need a little bit more freedom because I still am a little bit busy. Instead, what we're going to be doing instead of a week-long, many hours every day challenge, just going to be doing a 24-hour challenge. Now, this is not going to be in the span of one 24-hour day. Instead, I'm going to time myself every time that I read until it totals up to 24 hours. I feel like that's much more doable, much more flexible, and honestly, much more fun. It allows me to do other things that I want to do without the pressure of my brain just going,
read! Nothing but read for 24 hours!
And it's also helpful because part of the reason I haven't been reading as much these past few months, besides being busy, is because I feel like when I do sit down to read, I can't just do it for a short amount of time. I feel like I need to have a few hours in front of me that are free that I can just sit down to do it. And I finally kind of have some time in my schedule to do that, but also this challenge I feel like will show me that I don't need that. That I can just read a little bit at a time and how much it's going to add up over that 24 total hours. I used to do a thing in college where every single morning when I woke up, I would read 10 pages for fun of whatever book I wanted. I read a 400-page philosophy book in like a month, and it just showed me that little steps like that can lead up to such a big result, bigger than you could have fathomed at the beginning. But I dropped out of that habit.
Yikes.
But I'm re-implementing the lesson to myself by doing this challenge. Now you may be asking, what is the TBR? So glad you asked. I will tell you. Are you ready for this TBR? I don't think you are. It's a lot of pages. It's a lot of books. But you know what? I'm ambitious. Sue me. Actually don't, I have no money. Just gonna give y'all an overview, that way we can get straight into this challenge. The first is the Manga. The first book is the first volume of Kaguya-sama Love is War. This series needs no introduction. The anime is crazy popular, the manga is crazy popular. I'm just very, very behind. I've seen the first season of the anime, loved it, now I need to get started on the manga. I own several volumes where I feel comfortable enough actually starting to read the first one, and that's what I'm gonna do. The second is the first volume of Dai Dark. This series is by the same author of one of my favorite manga series of all time, Dorohedoro, and I didn't know that they had come out with a new series because I am blind when it comes to culture and new releases. But I was in Walmart and I saw this cover, and if you know anything about this author, their art style is very intricate, very specific, and I am just in love with it. Like, come on. And I knew it was immediately by the same author as Dorohedoro. This, of course, is a different series, but it involves necromancy, space action, and dark humor. Need I say more? It says, Sanko's body has great and terrible powers. They say that possessing his bones will grant you any wish, even the desire to become the ruler of the universe. But Sanko is still a teenage dude with his own life, and he isn't about to let every monstrous lowlife in the galaxy rip him limb from limb. He and his skeletal buddy will use their dark powers to fend off any murder attempts while they search space for whoever put this curse on Sanko's bones, because killing them might end the madness. And then Sanko can celebrate with his favorite spaghetti. That's pretty much all I needed to sell me on this book. The Girl from the Other Side. This is a manga that has been everywhere recently. Everywhere on my booktube, everywhere on my book talk, bookstagram. A few booktubers that I watch have loved it. A few liked it, but didn't love it. But again, the art style is what drew me in. That is just gorgeous. I was debating on buying this book for myself, because luckily it was available at my local Walmart, but then my friend who works at Walmart actually picked it up themselves and read it, and was gracious enough to let me borrow it. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there were two kingdoms. The outside, where twisted beasts roamed that could curse with a touch, and the inside, where humans lived in safety and peace. The girl and the beast should have never met, but when they do, a quiet fairy tale begins. I hope it's as cute as it is dark, and I hope I enjoy it. I'm curious to see where I land in the court of public book opinion, The Kite Runner. This book is very famous, has been famous for over a decade now, at least. I should have read it a long time ago, I know, but I'm correcting that error now. I'm gonna get it read. I promise. We have The Absence of Sparrows. This, I believe it would be categorized as a middle grade. Basically, from what I can tell, this book is about a town that suddenly everyone in the town starts turning to statues for some reason. And this kid figures out that all of a sudden this missing flock of sparrows has something to do with it and unlocking the key to turning everybody back to normal. I don't know. Sounds fun. Bare necessities. This is another case of someone graciously letting me borrow this book. In this particular case, my cousin Sabrina. The story seems in equal parts heart-wrenching and heartwarming. This story follows a struggling father named Danny. He has a son named Will who is struggling after the recent passing of his mother. After losing his job and seeing the success of street performers, Danny spends his last few dollars on a panda costume and begins dancing in a local park. At home, Will has been reclusive and silent ever since his mother's passing, but one day, when Danny is performing in the park as this dancing bear, he sees his son getting bullied by a group of boys. He chases them off, approaches his son, and his son, not recognizing him, begins opening up to him and talking to him. And it just seems like Danny is going to try and utilize this as a way to regain that closeness with his son, but also comfort him and find some comfort himself. I know it's going to be sad, but I also hope that it's going to have a happy ending. Tired as... I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This is a non-fiction book that I found in a free stack at the library, and as you can see, I've already started on it. And it's just basically talking about burnout at the hands of diet, self-help, and hustle culture. It's a book on how to chill, how to not take life so seriously, how to relax. And if anybody needs that, it's me. This next book needs no introduction. It's The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This book has been everywhere on BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, BookieBook, Book. It's kind of an urban fantasy, sci-fi, where people in this big city suddenly become attached to it, suddenly become a part of it, because there's like an awakening beast or something like that. Every great city has a soul, some are ancient as myths, and other are as new and as destructive as children. New York City, she's got 6. I've been excited to read this book ever since I saw it in the store, but then I saw Olivia Reads a Latte picked it up, and she was excited to get into it, and I had to go back to the store and grab it. And the last book is also another case of being influenced by Olivia Reads a Latte. A lot of booktubers, a lot of book talkers have been talking about this series, but she is where I found out about it, she's where I heard about it, she's the one that got me excited about it. It is This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. It has been a little bit since I've read a fantasy like this, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I trust Olivia, I trust her judgment, and also I did kind of miss this kind of fantasy, this kind of genre. That's enough yammering out of me. Let's get started. First update, because we're already off to a good start. 16 minutes into this challenge and I have finished The Girl from the Other Side. And I really enjoyed it. Not absolutely crazy about it, but I did really enjoy it. I am going to continue on with the series. I love the characters, I love the world. I'm intrigued by where this is gonna go, because it's a mystery, but it's also kind of cozy. It describes itself as tranquil, and I think that's true, but it does have moments where you're just like, ugh. It has a nice stress and relief ratio, I believe. The build-up that led to the end, I think, was done well, and it made me excited for the second volume. We're off to a strong start. Really, really enjoyed this. Now we're going to get started on This Woven Kingdom. Okay, we just hit the first hour mark of this 24-hour challenge, and yes, it is a few days after I started this challenge. Well, in the first 16 minutes of that hour, I finished a 177-page manga volume, and since then, I have been reading This Woven Kingdom. I'm only 9 chapters in, 85 pages, so a total of 262 pages. I think, besides the manga taking that out of the equation, I think I'm averaging about 2 pages a minute. I don't have much to say about this book yet, because I'm not that deep into it, but I am enjoying it. I will say I'm not blown away by anything yet, but I do believe the concept is very interesting. I believe it has a lot of potential to amaze me. I think this author handles the intricacies of running a kingdom this large, this vast, with this complex of a society very well, at least in comparison to a lot of YA fantasy that I've read. I think I'm going to take a break and read some books that are not for this challenge, I know, blasphemous, right? I'm reading books that I'm not including in this challenge, but I think I want to do that for a little bit. Then I'll get back to, whoa, lighting. I think I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then I'll get back to reading this. I think I can finish this in just 3 more hours, maybe not even 4. But we'll get back to it sooner rather than later. It won't be a few days in between this time, I promise. Good morning, it is the next day, and I have made significant progress in this Woven Kingdom. I haven't yet picked up any of the other books I want to read in this challenge, as I said I might do. I've just been focusing on this one, because I feel like I can just plow straight through it in the next few hours of this challenge. 267. I'm on page 267, chapter 24, so a little bit over halfway through this book, and only 2.5 hours into the challenge. It's kind of driving me forward to just focus on this one, that way I can get it finished, because look at this chonk. Look at this honkin' sucker. I don't know, I think it's something about the mind game of finishing a book this big that is going to help propel me to finish the other ones. But this challenge is doing what it set out to do. It's showing me how much I can accomplish in such a short amount of time. Like, I've read 1 manga volume and over 200 pages in just a little over 2 hours. If you would ask me how much I would have thought that I would have read in 2.5 hours, definitely would have said at least a manga volume. I don't think I would have told you I would have been halfway through this book. I'm enjoying the world building and the writing style much more than the story. The story is very good. The romance hasn't really started yet. It's kind of started, but it's not really launched yet. But also, I've just read so much YA fantasy in my life that I'm pretty sure I know where this is going. So I'm not really hooked into the outcome because I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. I kind of see where this road is headed to. I've been down this road before. I'm hoping it tosses my predictions on its head, because that would be awesome. But I quite honestly don't think that it will that much. As I mentioned earlier, my little tidbit from this is, I'm probably blinding you Flash in this book, aren't I? I'll stop. As I said in an earlier clip, what I'm still enjoying most about this book is the world building and the writing style, particularly surrounding the themes of racism, divided society, generational trauma, the darker side of running things practically in a kingdom. I've read a lot of YA fantasy, read a lot of good authors, but I don't think that any have delved this far and this well into such heavier themes, or rather I should say how intricately those themes affect people both on the individual level and on the societal level, but how it permeates the culture in general and how that turns into a cycle. I hope that all made sense. I'm going to go off of the assumption that it did. Hi, hello. It is a few days after the previous clip, but I realized that I never filmed an update kinda giving you my thoughts on finishing this Woven Kingdom. I won't go too in-depth because the full review or my full thoughts will be going into my reading wrap-up at the end of the month, but I will speak a little bit about it. Basically, TLDR, really enjoyed it. Not a new favorite. I'm not crazy about it, but I did enjoy it enough to where I am excited to read the next book and to see where the story goes. I was correct, and it did get better as I read on. The story is starting to heat up, even though I kind of see where it was going, like I said I did. There were some aspects that I did not see coming, which was nice, and I'm excited to see where those go. That's all I'll say about that for right now, though. So I finished that book in under 4 hours. Actually, I finished 2 books in just under 4 hours. But I do have a little bit of time to read today, so the next 2 books I'm going to be jumping in with on this challenge are Tired as F by Caroline Dooner, Bare Necessities by James Gouldbourne. But our current total page count so far is 672 pages in just under 4 hours. Hi, I'm outside reading now. I ended up not reading any of those books that I really told you that I was going to read, except for a little bit in Tired AF. What I did start reading was bare necessities, and I am about 80 pages into it. I just started reading it one morning. I think I read it for like 30 something minutes. I'll update whatever the timestamp is in here because I'm not gonna go get my camera to film the screen on my phone for this very quick update. But I read about 80 pages in this, and now it's a beautiful sunny day outside, so I'm gonna sit out here for a little bit, tan a little bit, and read a little bit. Yes, I know the book's upside down. It won't be when I read it. Okay, now we're gonna sit out here, enjoy the weather, and do a little bit of reading. Thank you. Not yet. Almost. Hi, good Sunday afternoon. I am about to embark on my next little sprint in this 24-hour or so challenge, which seems like it has been going on for an eternity. I was going to start reading some manga just as like a little, not palate cleanser, but as a little break, because I have been reading for almost 10 hours and I have finished so many books. But, quite honestly, I think I'm going to start with The Kite Runner because something about this book intimidates me a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just intimidated by the emotional yeah, that was correct. The emotional investment I'm going to put into this book, or probably going to put into this book. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to start with this, and then I have The Absence of Sparrows, which is a middle grade, so that'll be a nice brain break if I still don't want to read a manga. But the next two manga are Dai Dark Volume 1 and Love is War Volume 1. I know I can finish these in relatively no time, so I'm not in a rush to read them. I really just want to pick them up when I feel like, okay, it's time to just chill, enjoy some pretty pictures and some pretty words. I don't know why this challenge feels so much harder. So I did a swapping my screen time with reading video, and like for a week I did it, and I was reading 7 to 9 hours-ish. Actually, I take that back. It was like 6 something hours to like almost 9 hours a day. That's a lot more than 24 hours when you add it up through an entire week, but I have just been trying to do 24 hours total for like the past 2 weeks now. I don't think that I had any freelancing gigs that week. I think that's why I chose that week to be able to sit down and do it. But it's just been a very staggered week, at least on that front. Not going to hold myself to, I was going to say hostage, but that doesn't really make sense now, does it? Not going to hold myself to an extremely high critical standard, because life happens. It happens to us all, and then we die. Actually, that's a perfect segue to the shirt I'm wearing, which is my Unis Honest shirt. So, life happens to us all, then we die. Hi. Good Monday morning. This is not going to be a long update. I know I always say that, but it's true, because I want to finish my coffee and I have my crappy headphones on. I shouldn't say crappy. These are some of my favorite headphones, especially for listening to drums or listening to detailed drums. The frequency response, graph chart doesn't really support that theory, but I swear I hear drums, in detail better than I can on, any other pair of headphones that I own. You do not care about this. Last night, I finished 2 books. I started 2 books yesterday, and I finished them both before I went to bed last night. Sorry if the audio quality is crap on this. If it is, I'll re-record it on a microphone, and hopefully you will never know the difference. I'm gonna sit here, finish my top of the morning coffee, then I'll probably read some manga. No, actually, what I'm gonna do is film an update talking to y'all about the books that I finished last night and where we are so far. And I also lied to you. I did not talk to you yesterday after I read. And so, in that meantime, yesterday I finished 2 more books. Since I believe I have last talked to you, besides my talky bit where I lied to you about that I was going to talk to you sooner than I did, I've read this many books. Yeah, I am surprised and proud of myself, not gonna lie. Bare Necessities. Really, really like this book. So sweet, and it is so funny. I laughed a lot more. I shouldn't say a lot more. I think I laughed as much as it tugged at my heartstrings, and oftentimes within the same page. I think it really was heartfelt in a genuine way, and all the friendships and relationships, not just the father and son, but the kind of found family relationships that happen in this book, made my heart really happy. The next one that I finished was Tired AF by Caroline Dooner. I really like this book. I wouldn't say it blew my mind with anything. I will say it was helpful at putting a lot in perspective just to hear it come from another person. And also this book opened my eyes to some further reading on subjects I've been wanting to get into. And I think I really need to read her first book. Okay, and then I finished 2 books in one day, the day before yesterday, which is why I was so tired yesterday morning. I started and finished The Kite Runner and The Absence of Sparrows. I finished The Kite Runner first, so I'll talk about it. I see why it has the legend and the love and the praise that it does. It is incredibly well written, incredibly poignant. It is heartbreaking, it is funny, it is heartfelt. It is just a beautiful piece of work. I will say, if you are interested in reading this book, you really need to heavily check the content warnings before doing so. And if you are okay with reading about those things, those subjects, I would highly recommend this book to you. I don't know why I was intimidated by it. It was very easy to read. And it was because the story and the characters were that enthralling. And it just sucked me in. I loved it. The Absence of Sparrows. It was fine. I liked it. I think I'm a little bit too old for it. I pretty much predicted the end of the book at the beginning. But nevertheless, even though I predicted the ending and saw a lot of things coming, I didn't always predict how they were going to come about. And the author still told and developed the story in a way that I was very interested to see how it got to that point. And usually I'm one of those people that, like, I don't care. There's a lot of people who can figure out the endings of stuff, or who like to know the endings of things, because then they're like, oh, well, I want to see how we got there. But I'm one of those people where I'm like, I don't really care once I know the ending. Like, I don't really care how we got there. Are you going to make me care? Because if you're going to make me care, sure. But otherwise, I just know the ending. Why would I waste my time? But this author managed to do that. This author managed to suck me in and make me be like, okay, is this what's gonna happen? Because if so, how? I was still left wondering if there could possibly be another outcome, and I was still hoping for this other outcome. And the ending just sucker punched me in the face, in the heart, in the gut, every vital organ that you could imagine. Your face isn't an organ, but you get my point. Really good, but not great, but it was still fun. I think that's what I would say. It wasn't amazing, but it was fun, so I enjoyed it. Something I really loved was this book's take on nature and how wonderful and yet how powerful and terrifying it can be. My favorite parts in this book were the quotes that talked about that in regards to nature. There's one that talked about at the very beginning, nature makes the best toys. Big fan of that, because it's absolutely true. And just plenty of others. I'll make sure to find them and pull them out for the wrap-up video, so if you're curious, check out that video when it comes live. When it comes out live. When it's up live. I don't know what's happening to me. Read a lot of words, can't speak them very good. We have Love is War Volume 1, and then we have Dai Dark Volume 1. Really liked it, it's really cute, really funny. I am curious, because I know the series goes on for, like, it's like, what, 20-something volumes now, or almost 20 volumes? I'm curious how they're gonna stretch that out to 20 volumes, but in a good way. Gotta continue it. I am very, very excited for it. I just love how they turn the little things, the little mind games, the little everyday, what would seem to everybody else, everyday interactions, like giving away movie tickets or playing a card game. They turn it into, like, this big ordeal that it's a psychological, like, war game. And I don't know, something about the over-dramaticism of it, over-dramaticism, is really funny, and it's really sweet in a way. Okay, let's talk about Dai Dark. I love this so much. So much. This author's art style, their humor, their characters, their story building, their world building, I just eat it all up. I love it, love it, love it. So I had high hopes going into this, and I was not disappointed. I am crazy excited to get to the rest of the series. I want this series... So while him and Sanko are getting into mischief, defending themselves, they're also hunting for whoever put this curse on Sanko's bones. Of course, they're doing this in the hopes that they can either remove the curse, or at least killing the person who put the curse on him will end people trying to kill Sanko to get his bones. Which, you know what? Not a bad plan. My favorite character, though, is Death. I would die for her. Unironically. That's not even a pun. I would die for her. When they first meet Death, they're like, people don't like Death. And her response is, I don't like them either. See, I knew that I loved Death whenever they first met Death, or Sanko first saw Death, I should say, because this is how Sanko met Death. Look at her. I love her. Isn't she horrifying? Death is definitely my favorite character so far. They're hilarious. They're deadly. They're a queen. I want to be her, and I want to be loved by her. And crushed by her a little bit. Yeah. She straps stakes to herself. I'm already in love with these characters and in love with this universe. I can't wait to see where it goes. I read for like an hour last night, and during that hour I started The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Yeah, I'm on chapter 2, and I already have feelings about this book. Not all of them are great. I am liking it enough to continue on with it, but there's just things about it that just aren't vibing with me. I don't hate them. I don't think that it's a bad book. I just think that it's going to end up as a book that isn't for me. Really, I think what's bothering me the most so far is that this book feels like so niche. It definitely is written by someone from New York who loves the city of New York, who loves the city life in New York, who loves all of its quirks and intricacies and just loves cities in general and the power that they hold. I don't know if you've noticed. Come join me, Blackbird. I ain't no city girl. What's funny is that so many people, a crazy amount of people, have told me that I would love New York, that I am such a New York City person, that I would thrive in New York City. And I look at them like, have you met me? No! No, I would not love to live in New York City. I would hate it. I would love to visit, honestly. I'd love to go up there and visit and just hang out for a while. Nothing against New York City in particular. It's just the gist of cities in general. I don't like cities. Mainly because of my sensory overload. Like, it's too much for me. Cities they're too much. I don't like them. I like my trees. I like my birds. I like my bugs. Leave me in the grass. Leave me in the leaves. I'm happy there. And this book, I think, is meant for people who love that kind of life or have lived that kind of life. And that's just not me. It's so full of niche New Yorkness, or even just cityness. And I don't get it. I can't relate. It's hard for me to cheer for it because I'm just like, okay, cool. And I feel bad about it because, like, I'm enjoying it. I'm just like, I feel like I'm the person who got invited to go to the concert with my friends who are obsessed with this band, and I only know, like, 2 songs. That's not to say I can't have a good time, but clearly I'm gonna be kinda lost in the sauce when everyone else is losing their minds. That was a very odd comparison, but welcome to my channel! I will say this about it. What I am loving about this book and what it is hooking me in on is the urban fantasy of it. I love the idea about the land and the people having power and how it coincides together and how the land has power through the people, or the place, I guess, not really land. The place has power through the people. I'm digging that. I love that. As far as I remember, the other 2 books on this TBR are All the Crooked Saints and Cursed. I think I could also finish this one today if I started it, and then I hope to also finish this one. I don't really expect to. Not today, I should clarify that. I don't think that I would finish this today, but by the end of this challenge, by the end of 24 hours, I would hope to finish this as well. I think I can definitely finish this, because I still have 8 more hours to go. I think I can definitely finish these 2. So I'll say I'll hope to finish this one, or at least get as far as I can. I'm doing okay. I'm doing a lot better than I thought I would be doing at this point in the challenge. That being said, I am also ready for it to be over. I'm taking a break because I just finished another book, and I actually pretty much correctly predicted around when I was going to finish it, which I thought I would finish it around like 22 hours and something, and that's exactly what I did. Because this is where we're at, as of right now, which is like 22 hours and 12 minutes. I'm filming on my phone, so I can't look at the time on my phone, but I'll put a screenshot here. Anyway, what did I finish? What did I do with it? I'd lose my head if it were not attached. I finished The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. It was good. I don't know if I'm going to be continuing on with the series because I think my original prediction was kind of correct. It's not really my thing. I will say that I did like it more and more the more that I read it. The deeper I got into it, the more that I liked it. I think I got a feel for the story and the pacing and the characters, and it managed to suck me in a lot more than the beginning did. I didn't feel quite as much the outsider, I guess, that I did when I first started reading it. I really liked it. I will say I didn't really like the ending, though. I thought the ending was pretty hurried compared to the rest of the book. But either way, I liked it. I enjoyed it. And it's done. That's 434 more pages done. And I don't know how many pages that's going to be total now, but I will add them all up and put them somewhere here. Math is fun. An hour and 47 minutes left and some odd seconds. I think I can definitely finish all the Crooked Saints and then start Cursed. I'm not gonna finish Cursed in an hour and a half. But I will definitely, most likely... No, you know what? I'm just gonna say definitely. I'm going to finish all the Crooked Saints within an hour and a half. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be done. We're gonna do it. Hi, hello, gentlemen, ladies, all configurations of being. I am back and freshly showered, and I feel more alive because this challenge is finally done. I also kind of look like a wreck. I promise it's just because my hair refuses to cooperate after any shower of any kind, and I look like I come straight from a metal band in the 80s. But that's just how it be. I digress. We're at the end of this challenge. The last book that I finished for this challenge was All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. I give this 4 stars. It was really good. I believe this is a standalone, but I would definitely read the heck out of this if it ever becomes a series. It has all the hallmarks of the Raven Boys that I loved. The mysticism around nature, the power of nature, found family, the power of friendship, the power of love, and how this crazy little thing we call life weaves its threads in a million different ways between a million different people, often in ways we don't even have words for. So I really enjoyed it. Nice way to end the challenge. Well, I shouldn't say this was the only way I ended the challenge. I did end up reading... Ugh, it's on my bed. I have to go get it. Hold on. Brief interlude. Okay, hi, I'm back. As I was saying, All the Crooked Saints was the last full book that I finished in the challenge, but I had around 30 minutes left after I finished that book, so I started on Cursed. And in those 30 minutes, I managed to get a good 56 pages into this. It is an Arthurian retelling, so a little bit, or parts of it, are predictable so far, and I imagine they will continue to be throughout the book, because that's just the essence of a retelling. Especially something like the Arthurian legend, which has been around forever. But I really like what they're doing with the elements of the story so far, and the places and some of the circumstances that have been changed. But the main character, I like her backstory, I like her circumstances, I don't like her. She irritates me. So far, she is just brash, impulsive, to the point where it's just like, that's stupid. You're being stupid. Like, you're purposefully, like, being bold and stupid. There's a short, thin line between brave and stupid, and she full-on straddles the middle of it in the very beginning of this. But anyway, we'll see where that goes. We'll see if, a lot of character development happens, and generally how it turns out overall. Like I said, so far I am liking it Like I said, I am liking it overall, it's just the main character is getting on my nerves. Overall review time. I think we've been here long enough, so let's wrap this sucker up and bring her on home. I ended up finishing a total of 10 books. Altogether, 2,992 pages. Not gonna lie, that number is pretty pleasing to me, because it's 2992. It's a pattern that makes my brain happy. Whenever I first totaled it up, I was like, that's nice. And then I redid it because I was like, is that the real number? And then when I got it again, I was like, yes! Listen, it's the little simple things in life sometimes, okay? Okay? Well, I should say that's the 10 books I finished, plus the 56 pages that I read in Cursed. So I ended up just shy of 3,000 pages within 24 hours. If you divide all that up, it's about 2 pages a minute, which was around my average during this entire challenge. It fluctuated, of course, depending on the kind of book I was reading, but that's like the average, so I'm not surprised there. What I am surprised by is just the sheer amount that I was able to read in 24 hours. I know I've said this a couple times in the challenge, but just as part of the wrap-up, I read 10 books. I finished 10 books. I would hold all of them up here to show you, but one of the books belonged to my friend and I've already returned it to that friend, and one of the books also belonged to the library and it's already back there. But you saw them at the beginning of the video. I'll put in a screenshot here as a reminder. Within 24 hours. Just a day of reading. Collectively. Might not be mind-blowing to anyone else when you put it in the perspective of time, but it's mind-blowing to me, who I find it, like I said, difficult to sit down for a longer amount of time to read like I used to, just because I feel the pressure to be doing something else. I hate sitting still for long periods of time, unless it's like a specific kind of project that I'm working on that has like a lot of pieces, like editing a video. I don't mind sitting down for hours to do that, that's fine. But sitting down for hours to read? I'm like, no, I could be spending those hours doing something else, accomplishing a lot more. I think that's the brunt of it, is that I have a hard time sitting down with books for a long time because I count it as one thing in my mind, whereas in my brain I'm like, I could be doing many more things in the span of the time that it would take to do this one thing completely. Which sucks, because I love reading, and I'm glad I did this challenge because it helped me sit myself down and go, hey, do something you enjoy. Which again, sounds ridiculous, but honestly, that's just what I have to do with my brain sometimes. I think in this culture that we've been conditioned in, which highly prizes productivity over any leisure time that, bless your heart, that you may be able to find in the span of your day if you're lucky enough to have some, you feel guilty about it. And so I'm glad that I, in a way, forced myself to do this, because I accomplished so much and I read so many great books that I've been wanting to read for so long. I just could not sit myself down to do it. But finally I did it. I don't know why my hands have turned Italian. Why? Why this? Why do I even do this? I'm not Italian. I'm Scottish and Native American. I don't know where this came from. It's Julia. I blame Julia. Julia, it's all your fault. Whether you're an avid reader or not, I hope this video inspires you to take some time for something that you really, really love, that maybe you just haven't been able to set aside time for lately, but you really want to. I love doing challenge videos like this. I don't know if I will be doing this specific challenge anytime in the near future, but I will definitely do it again sometime. As I said earlier in the video, this month's reading wrap-up will have my full reviews, thoughts, and summaries on all these books, plus even more, so look forward to that video. And if you want even more bookish goodness, I have a whole playlist just for you, full of my book reviews, book challenges, book vlogs, book shopping, bookiness. And I'll link it in the cards. That's gonna be it for me. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace.